Hello and welcome to another episode on Dad's View. So for today I'm again not the political ferret, but the parent ferret. So we are talking today about playing and gaming with children. The thing is, when you play with your children as a family, this is considered a very good thing, a healthy thing. A family that plays together stays together after all. But if this thing becomes something that is electronical, it becomes controversial. Why is that? Well, first and foremost, because we all know that children who play computer games will become violent murderers and school shooters and all this stuff, which is not really true, but let us talk about that and some of the things that parents face in regards on computer gaming. So first and foremost, a computer game is not a nanny. Just take in a computer game that your child really wanted, put it into the gaming console and let your child play this game all day long is not a very good idea. You should really play with your child. I mean, it makes sense to give the child a little bit of playtime alone, so you have some time alone. I absolutely understand that. But first and foremost, it is a thing that is considered better if you do it with your child. It's the same thing with Legos. When you let your child play alone with the Legos, it's wonderful, but it is a way better experience for you and the child if you play together with your child. So the thing is, if you are not a computer gamer and if time goes on, the probability that you are not a gamer becomes slimmer and slimmer. But still, if you are not a gamer, well, you have to try to accept and understand that your child loves this thing that you can't understand and can't find any love for this thing. Some parents start to play computer games when their children start to play computer games. Minecraft is especially a good example for that. But for those of you who are not gamers, first thing comes again. It is not that you just give the computer game to your child and say, play with the computer game, I do not care about that. It is really a better idea to stay close and to give a little bit of understanding to your child that plays this game that it really likes. The more problematic thing is if you are a gamer, because then it's patience, and a little bit more patience, because you have a child and it will drop down the first cliff it will find, and then it will do that again and again and again and again, and you want to rip the computer controller away and say, give me that, I want to do that, you have to jump over it, not fall to a stupid cliff, and it will fall down again and again and again and again. So what I want to say is, if you are not a computer gamer, it is an easier experience for you, believe me. And this is the funny thing is, most non-gamers think that the gamers have it easier with children who play computer games. It is quite the opposite. Those who are not gamers themselves do not understand and do not fall into this trap of frustration. They just watch over and see that their children have fun, and then they do some knitting or something like that. But when you are a gamer and you watch your child fail over and over and over again, and there is so little progress, but it is enough for the child. It is quite frustrating if you just sit next to your child and see it fail and fail and fail and fail. I remember myself when I played Super Mario, we thought when we finally, after, I don't know, weeks of playing, we mastered the first level, we thought we managed the whole game, because it took us so long to do the first level. Then we had the mechanics into, and then it went pretty fast on, but children need to adapt to this kind of thing, and it takes time. If they are into it and if they start to understand the principles, then the progress runs away and you can't hold step with them. This is absolutely true. So the next question that comes up a lot is how much? And I think this is a completely wrong question. The interesting thing is not how much should you play. For my example, my parents were not particularly into electronic games. My mother especially hated them and said something in the likes of it is bad for children and so on. So I could have TV or computer game time of 15 minutes a day, which is not a lot. But This is not the right question. The interesting thing is you have to do it irregular. If you say you can play every day for 1 hour before you go to sleep, you made a ritual. This is easy for you as a parent, and children love rituals. So it is quite easy to fall into this trap of creating a ritual. This is not a good idea. Make it irregular. Play 2 hours sometimes, and sometimes say it is wonderful weather outside, go out in the garden, don't play a computer game, or let's play Legos or something like that. Make it irregular. This is way more important than the question how much you should play, and be aware of the Skinner box. So this is what we will talk about the rest of the video, the Skinner box, because most of you do not know what the Skinner box is, and this is important for you as no gamer, because you can't detect it, and for a lot of gamers who themselves stuck into Skinner boxes. So it is very important to understand that, because these things are very dangerous, really dangerous for your children and for you as well. So the Skinner box, also known as the operant conditioning chamber, is something that was created to condition objects, which means rats and mice. So the idea is whenever there was a red light blinking, the rat clicked a lever and got some food for that. If it did not comply, it got an electric shock. What they try to figure out is what works better: positive stimulation with food, or negative stimulation with shocking it. And there are some interesting results out of that. And what does it have to do with computer games? Well, pretty much all of our modern computer games, especially in mobile gaming, is created around pretty much this Skinner box. Which means that if you do what they want you to do, you get a reward. If you don't do it, you get a penalty in some sorts. Mostly it is positive, and punishing you is not that common, but we will go a little bit deeper into that, what it means and why it is dangerous to a certain degree. The interesting thing is, if you're stuck into such a Skinner box, which means that this thing will reward you with daily quests or with something like that, and you play on and on and on and on, you end up burning out. You can't play anymore because you played 20 hours a day. And mobile games especially trying to counteract that with these energy systems, where you can play 5 times in a row, but then you have to wait some hours until you can play again. You get every time a little bit of withdrawal, so that you can't play on and on and on and burn out. So you always stand on the edge of, I want to play more and more and more, but I can't, I have to wait sometimes. This is pretty much a lesson that is learned from drug addicts. Drug addicts consume more and more and more and more, and never go in this withdrawal phase. If you would force them to go into this withdrawal phase, they will stay on lower levels of their addiction. The Skinner box, in essence, is made to make you addicted to the game, to come back every day, every hour, or something like this. On the other hand, this energy system should counteract you burning out. In the past it worked differently. This was because the technology was completely differently. In the past you just bought a game, and then you played the game for 100 hours or something like that, and then you were satisfied and said, okay, this was a wonderful experience, I played 100 hours this game, it was nice, it was wonderful, where is the next game? And then after 2 years there came the next game, and you played the next game and said, oh, I will buy this game because I had so much joy with the first game, and then you play it for 100 hours, and after 100 hours per design you are on a point where you say, okay, I have seen everything in this game, I want a new game. And so they sold game after game after game after game. This changed to a large degree. Right now we are in a system where you have pretty much all the games for free, but you buy additional content via something of crystals or something in-game currency that can be purchased with real currency. So in the end you pay way more than if you would have paid for this game anyway. Because in the past you paid, I don't know, $50 for the game, and then you never paid something again. But now you do not pay for the start, and what used to be demos. In the past you had demos and you had the first 2 levels were for free, and then you could buy the whole computer game. Right now you create the game, and this transition from this is the real game to that is the demo is more or less fluently and runs to the very end, so that some people give out $100 per month for playing their favorite mobile game that is not even worth $5. An additional factor is the social factor. You see, one of the first games who really mastered this was Farmville. Farmville did it that way. It showed you pretty much, hey, all your friends play the same game. Oh, look over there. Peter plays the game. And Peter has more points than you. You yourself did know that Peter is an idiot, and it is impossible that Peter is better in this game than you, because you are way better than Peter. So you try to become better than Peter, and you get closer and closer and closer, and you see, okay, if it goes forth like this, in about 2 weeks I will be better than Peter, but I can invest just $2 and get some benefits, and then I'm today better than Peter. And this is something that would have happened anyway, because I'm better than Peter and look to my progress, and I would have become better than Peter, and Peter sees the same thing and say, oh, the ferret is now better than me. Oh, this can't be, because I know that the ferret is an idiot. So I just invest $2 and then I'm again better than the ferret, and so on and so on and so on. So with Farmville you have this competitive factor where you see your progress and can just improve your progress a little bit. But it doesn't feel like cheating. That's the important thing. It doesn't feel like cheating. It feels like giving you a little push that you deserve anyway. And this works very well. On the other hand, and this is something that came up a little bit later, was that you can help your friends. So you have something of a social obligation, especially if you're further in the progress, you have an obligation to help those others. And if you have some people who want to become better, and you are on the brink of saying, okay, I'm done with this game, I do not want to play this game anymore, then they come in and say, hey, please log in, just give me some of your resources, and you do it, and then you stay in the game and so on. So you have this social pressure thingy that also works into the Skinner box thingy as a reward that is especially useful because it has not to be programmed into the thing. The social pressure comes from your friends, which is very nice from them. This falls down to this whole idea of daily quests, where you log into a game and do a quest over and over and over and over and over again. You do not want to do that. You go raiding and you go doing your car thingy and drive some laps that you know absolutely since weeks, but you do it again and again just to grind and get a little bit of this point. And a lot of people would call that an addiction. This is not really true, because in an addiction there is nothing else that will satisfy you than doing this. That's not really the case. Often people say, okay, I'm so close, I want to do this now and that now, and I just go in and do my daily quest, and then I log off and go into my next game and do the daily quests there. And I know a lot of people who invest 2 hours a day just to make daily quests, which I find rather stupid. But in the end, that's the Skinner box. This is where they want you to log in, to see what your friends do, and to persuade you that you stay in the game, participate in the game, buy the next update, buy some in-game currency to improve your progress, because if you buy for just $1 a thing, you get the pendant of just 5 daily quests. So you can say, okay, so I do not have to log in for 5 days if I just spend $1. And this is what they do right now, and this is particularly dangerous if they do it with your child. It has nothing to do with running amok or something like that. It is pretty close to an addiction thing. It is not really an addiction thing. Game addiction is a completely different story, and a lot of people will often say that the Skinner boxing is the same thing as an addiction. This is not absolutely true. It is somehow related. That is true, it is somehow related, because you start in the Skinner box and then it can evolve into an addiction when you stay particularly in only one game and you start to pay energy over energy and over energy to play the game over and over and over again. Or if you have a game where this thing is not implemented, such as World of Warcraft, they do not have this thing. The only thing they have is that you get less experience points if you play for a certain time. But this does not work if you're already in the end game setting. So especially World of Warcraft has a massive problem where Skinner boxing becomes very fast really an addiction. And the important thing that you have to understand first, you have to understand it before you can teach that these achievements that they say, oh, you just have to do this and that and then you get additional points and you do get a bing achievement. These are not achievements. These things are ruses. These things are sand in your eyes. They are not important. But this is the thing that makes it interesting, because we like to get achievements. But the thing is, when you play Lego games, there is no achievement that pops up and says, oh, well done, you created a wonderful house. And it is a problem. When you have this achievement thingy, it makes a good Skinner box, or a good enough Skinner box, to bring people over and over again to create and try to build up on these achievements. But these achievements are no achievements. If you yourself log in every day in 1 or 2 or 3 games and do your daily quest, so just log in to get a reward or something like that, you are already in a Skinner box. You really have to understand that. I do not say it is a bad thing. I mean, I do that with 2 games, but I understand that it is a Skinner box and I get just a cheap little rush from doing that. But I do that when I jump into my train and drive home. So if you are using hours over hours over hours to jump up and down in your own little Skinner box, it will be very likely that your children will drop in this even deeper than you are. So this is something that you have to understand. After you have understood that, and understood that these achievements are not really achievements, they are just designed to keep you into the game, you have to see if this game brings you joy after all. If you log in for playing something, or if you just log in because you logged in 2000 days after another and you say, okay, I invested so many time, I do not stop there. If you're at this point, stop the game, because it makes no sense to invest any more time in a game that you do not enjoy. And you do not enjoy it if you just log in to get something, to get a reward. It is not really playing. Then you are in a Skinner box, then you have been played. And this is something you have to give to your child. You have to tell your child, play a game if it gives you joy. If you do it just for the reward, don't do it. There are games out there that are wonderful, where playing the game brings you joy and you do not need external rewards. And these games are really the games who are wonderful to play. And these are then the games that are wonderful to play together as a family, and where people who are not into computer games find a love for computer games. You have to find these games. There's not a list where I can say, okay, play these and that games, because they will give you exactly that, because people are very different. But these games are out there, and they are often not even very expensive. You will detect them, especially if you go on Steam and find family-friendly content. There are games out there that are wonderful to play with children, and it is not always easy to detect them, but it is worth the time. It is harder if you're not a gamer yourself, this is true, but it is also not way easier for you as a gamer, because as a gamer you are used to Skinner boxing and you will like it to a certain degree, and some part in you will try to bring your child into games where you very well know that they are not good for them. So yes, this was it for today. Thanks for watching. Like, share and subscribe. Tell me if you want more that few things, or if this is a just a silly thing and you want back to the political stuff, tell me what you think about it in the comment section. Like, share and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.